With intimate relationships, what I experienced happening was the dead zones kind of congregating and pooling. And now the relationship or the relational field is almost like this maze that I have to navigate carefully around dead zones to avoid conflict.
Yeah, so at the beginning of a relationship, we often have the experience of like a wide open relational field and we can go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then as a relationship goes on, we might find more and more places of tension. And if we don't have a way of noticing them and addressing them together, it can become this maze through a relationship where the open field now becomes a narrow path. Hello and welcome back to the Experience of We. I'm Naomi.
And I'm Matthew.
And we are coming back with another relational word of the day. Relational words of the day are phrases, concepts that help us visualize and understand our fundamentally relational reality.
Yeah. And so yeah, I want to add a little bit to that. Throughout my life, there have been these relational experiences that I was having that didn't have any language attached to them. I knew they were happening. I sensed them, but oftentimes I couldn't name them, conceptualize and name them and share the information with other people.
Yeah, you had like a sense that they were happening, that there were these patterns that were happening, but you didn't have a way to talk about them with other people.
Yeah. And so Naomi and I have sort of created these words and phrases that help us see these phenomena that we all experience, but maybe can't quite grasp. And so today's word is dead zones. Dead zones. I have had the experience of looking across at someone that I love and noticing that I had almost nothing to say. Not because I didn't have many things that felt engaging or interesting to me, but because there were so many dead zones in our relationship, I couldn't talk. And so what I mean by a dead zone is, so for many people, politics are a dead zone, an area of the relationship where if you try to engage in it, you might trigger defensiveness or anger or some kind of negatively reinforcing response.
Yeah, collapse of self. Sometimes it looks aggressive. Sometimes it looks helpless. And either way, it's the space that we go in a relationship where every time we go, there's this collapse in our ability to co-regulate.
Yeah. And so the way that I like to visualize a relationship just simply is like a circle. And we call this a relational field. We'll be talking about that in a future video. But if I imagine a circle that is exchanging energy and information across it, because that's what a relationship is. We're exchanging energy and information. And so there's this circle, this field that the energy and information has to cross. And a dead zone is a space where information can't cross. And so if I'm transmitting information, if I'm sharing signal, if I'm communicating with someone, and I know that we can't talk about politics or religion or other social issues without triggering a sort of defensive or aggressive response, we avoid it. And it becomes a dead zone in the relational field. And so now I can't go there. And I remember, so I had a previous marriage. And in this marriage, dead zones would pop up. And I thought I was serving the relationship by not going towards a dead zone, by just agreeing to disagree.
Yeah, at the beginning of most relationships, it can feel very even mature to respond with an agree, disagree, or just whatever happened, it's not a big deal. Let's just not cause any suffering, any needless suffering, and not go back there.
Yeah, avoidance. I think some people call it conflict avoidance. And my experience doing this was at first, again, feeling like I was serving the relationship, by navigating around dead zones. I wasn't upsetting or dysregulating my partner or my friend, companion.
Yeah, because this happens in a lot of romantic relationships. I feel like a lot of us have experienced it in that realm. But it happens with friends. It happens with family
Family
members.
members, yeah. Colleagues at work.
Oh
Yeah, a
yeah.
lot of dead zones at
Who?
our places of employ.
Yeah.
A lot of dead zones. But with intimate relationships, what I experienced happening was the dead zones kind of congregating and pooling. And now the relationship or the relational field is almost like this maze that I have to navigate carefully around dead zones to avoid conflict.
Yeah, so at the beginning of a relationship, we often have the experience of like a wide open relational field and we can go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then as a relationship goes on, we might find more and more places of tension. And if we don't have a way of noticing them and addressing them together, it can become what Matthew was saying, this maze through a relationship where the open field now becomes a narrow path.
Yeah, and sometimes a narrow path can lead to a dead end, right? The agree to disagree, and now there can be this entire section of the relationship that's now off limits. And yet, my experience was in my previous marriage, especially, not being able to talk about politics is a lot more than talking about politics. It's really talking about our values and how we express those values in the world. And so politics or religion and other things can actually be connected to a lot of other aspects of the relationship, which then, so if you've ever seen one of those movies where someone's trying to break into a vault and there's like a laser trap, and it's like there's almost no space. You're like navigating through, and if the lasers touch you, you're going to be zapped. That is what a relationship filled with dead zones can start to feel like after a while. And then what ends up happening in my experience is now you find, or now I would find, the only things I could talk about were superficial things. Oh, here's what's going on at work. Here's what's going on with family. Here's what's going, just like in very surface level details.
Yeah, and so a lot of us who experience relational dead zones might experience it as something like boredom, disengagement, a lack of emotional fulfillment, not much excitement about the relationship or upward energy, only wanting to engage when there's a very specific thing to engage about or over.
And I don't know, one of the things I found was that the easiest thing to engage in was complaining. Finding a shared source of annoyance or displeasure and just talking about that a lot as the sort of the crutches of the relationship.
Yeah.
Let's find something we don't like together and complain about it.
Yeah, that's a real place the relationship can adapt to if other pathways for connection aren't available.
Yeah. And so dead zones are an existential threat to the relationship, not even necessarily the kind that will end a relationship outright. I imagine we've all seen relationships, couples and friends, seen people either avoiding dead zones or touching dead zones and having a little flare up, a little burst of annoyance between each other. That we just observe and notice, oh, it looks like they can't talk about politics, or it looks like they can't talk about sports. I've had dead zones in relationships talking about sports.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's an example of how identity and sports get fused together.
Yeah. I had relationships where I couldn't criticize Tom Brady. True story. Maybe you've had that too. And so because dead zones are a existential threat to the relationship. Either it constrains the growth of the relationship itself, maybe even leading to the end of the relationship, or the sort of emotional or even intellectual end of the relationship. If you can't talk about ideas together without triggering each other, which some people have that experience, you can end up with a relationship that kind of feels hollowed out or superficial, without any idea of how to clear out the dead zones. And so in a future video, we're going to talk about what one does when they find dead zones in their relationship. But for now, what we would invite you to do is start noticing. Just don't try to fix immediately, because trying to fix a dead zone immediately can trigger the very conflict that the dead zone is there to avoid. And so step one in our experience is just start noticing the dead zones. If you have the kind of relationship with someone where you can name something like a dead zone, do it. Make that a minor incursion into the dead zone itself. But for now, we would recommend just noticing where your dead zones are in your various relationships. Maybe notice dead zones happening with other people you know who are in relationships. And just spend some time as a mindful observer. And then in a future video, we'll talk about what to do when you discover a dead zone.
Yeah.
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 So I feel complete on this for now. How about you?
I feel complete on this too.
All right.
We will see you next time.
Bye for now.
Bye.